Hey y'all, my name is Wendy. Some people call me Libby. If you're watching this video, I really appreciate it. I hope I can keep you to the end. If you like it and you would like to see more or it was helpful, please like and subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. I wanted to make a video for new sewers or people who are trying to decide whether they want to sew or not. I've only been sewing for about 3 years now, so I'm not really a beginner anymore, but I'm definitely not a master. I still learn things every day. I am self-taught. I learned how to sew strictly 100% from YouTube and a lot of trial and error, which leads me to here with you guys today. I'm hoping I could try to minimize the trial and error or the frustration of trying to figure out if you're doing something right or wrong. There are many things to learn in your journey, and everybody learns differently. Like for me, I'm a very hands-on person. With that being said, watching videos to try to learn how to do something, it took me a little bit because that's not the way I was used to learning. And it took me a while to comprehend and understand the different types of things that you needed for sewing and the sewing machine. Like I said, when it comes to the sewing machine, that part I can't help you with. And the reason for that is because on many videos that you will see, if you have ventured out there and you've YouTubed, a lot of people tell you, I can't tell you what type of machine you can get. And if you're like me, you're probably thinking, why? Well, you know, I mean, you can teach me how to sew and you can tell me all these things, but why can't you tell me what machine I need? The reason for that is because they don't know what you want the sewing machine for. So it would be hard for them to tell one specific person. Like they probably could tell the one specific person, but a lot of people are watching this video, so they can't tell you all the different machines that you'll need. But what I can tell you and the advice I can give you is, like for me, when I started, my reason for wanting to learn how to sew was I wanted a purse. I wanted it to my specifications. I wanted it to my, you know, what the color I wanted, the pockets I wanted, the design I wanted, and I couldn't find that. And there are lots of wonderful purses out there, but there just wasn't what I was looking for. So I decided, well, let me see if I can sew. And that's where my journey began 3 years ago. I started hand sewing in advance. That was not for me, not my technique. Now, I do know that there are many people out there who sew by hand, and kudos to you guys, but it was not for me. It is very time consuming, and the stitch and the seam allowance and which I still had a lot to learn for sewing. So I probably could hand sew something now where I could not in the beginning. I know that probably seems backwards. You should probably learn how to hand stitch and then learn how to sew with a machine, but it wasn't for me. So I thought to myself, well, maybe I'm just not a sewer and maybe this is not for me. Well, I don't give up very easily, and I really wanted a bag. So even if I only learned how to sew enough to give me the bag, I would have been okay with that. My daughter ended up having a sewing machine, and I thought to myself, you know, with all the videos that I watched, they're sewing with a machine, and I'm trying to do the same things they're doing by hand. Maybe that's my problem. So I borrowed my machine from my daughter. She bought her machine a little while back. I think it was a Brother lightweight machine. She wanted to sew clothes. So I borrowed it from her, and I knew nothing about a sewing machine. I didn't know about the types of needles that needed to go in it, the thread to buy, that there even was a difference between the types of thread or the types of needles. I didn't know any of that. A bobbin, that's absolutely funny. I didn't even know what a bobbin was. And so here comes YouTube. I'm YouTubing away, and I eventually find the information that I need, but I didn't get it out of one video. And I know that's impossible for someone to do. You can't give all the information for one thing in just one video. You're going to have to search for more and more. And so I'm hoping with this video, maybe I can help minimize in just a few videos, if this one works out well, the main things that you'll need when you begin your sewing journey, or to see if that's a path you want to take. I had to watch numerous videos to eventually find out the type of needles that I needed, the type of thread that I needed, the difference in the threads, the proper foot to use on your sewing machine, and all of those things. Little did I know that the machine you pick is, if it's a lightweight machine, you're only going to be able to sew lightweight things. Well, obviously, in my mind, I didn't know that, but in my mind, I wanted to sew a bag. I wanted to sew a purse with some faux leather. And so that's what I wanted. Well, when I got the machine, not know anything about it from my daughter, I didn't realize it wasn't made for that. It could not do it. It was more for like quilting cotton and maybe patchwork when it comes to quilts and things. Again, I didn't know that. Trial and error. I did not buy a machine, and nor was I going to, because I didn't feel like I knew enough and I wasn't going to spend money on something I was uncertain about. So long story short, I ended up using her machine for a little while and slowly got to the point to where I was like, I really just don't think I know how to sew. I don't know what I'm doing. Eventually watching the videos, I realized it may not all be me. It may be the machine. And so my husband comes to me, he was like, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, you know what? I think I want a sewing machine. Normally, I wouldn't do something like that because I wouldn't want it to go to waste. But the way I looked at it is obviously my daughter wanted to try to learn how to sew clothes. And I knew from the things that I had sewn on this lightweight machine, she wasn't going to be able to do that. So in my mind, I was like, well, if I get a sewing machine and I only make a bag with it, it'll be okay. I can give it to my daughter and she can use it to make clothes. So that was my justification for being able to buy it, and it wouldn't be completely unbeneficial to someone. So that's where I started with the sewing machine. And then from there, I had to learn things like the tools that you need, the scissors that you need, clips, things like that. I didn't know you needed all that. So my intentions for this video specifically is to explain to you some of the tools that you will 100% need when you start to sew. And, you know, you may have some of it at home. And I also want to give you a way to purchase these items on a budget, because that was a big thing for me too. I didn't want to sink a lot of money into something I didn't know that I was going to continuously do. And so I want to help you do it on a budget, maybe not spend so much money, and maybe only have to purchase some of the items so you can see if that's what you truly want to do before you put too much into it. So I will, if this video works out, I'll let you know, because like I said, there were lots of things I want to share with you guys, but I can't do that all in one video. And I also don't want to overwhelm you, because that is not my intentions. I want to help you. So maybe if this video goes well, I'll make another video and kind of explain some different types of materials, things that I'm still learning about the different types of materials, even 3 years later. I also want to try to give y'all some advice on some different websites that y'all can go to, because I found that to be a huge ordeal for me. I live in a small town, and I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but we don't really have crafting stores and things like that around here. So with that being said, it was hard for me to ask questions about things like materials or sewing machines or needles, thread, things like that. And thank goodness for YouTube, because I don't know that I know I would not know the things I do if I didn't have YouTube to turn to. So that was beneficial for people like me in small towns that don't have that you know, luxury of being able to go walk into a sewing machine shop and say, hey, can you explain this to me? We don't have that around here. So I want to share different things about the materials that make a difference on your sewing machine, the different types of materials you can buy to do different things. Websites, like I said, again, it was a huge ordeal for me. There were some things I wanted, but I'm funny when it comes to purchasing things online. I want more information. I want to know that it's legit. I want to know I'm getting, you know, I'm getting good materials for my money, my purchase, and things like that. And I've learned those things again through trial and error. All of this was trial and error. So hopefully I can help you kind of minimize some of that. Now you're going to go through your own trial and errors, because I don't know specifically what you guys need or what you're trying to do either. So you'll come across your own trial and errors, but I can assure you that if you search enough on YouTube, you're going to find what you need, and it will help you get where you need to get, or at least guide you in a right path so that you know the right questions to ask. But my main goal for today is I want to share some tools with you guys and let y'all know that you do not have to start off with the fancy stuff, the expensive stuff, or as Jess and even me, I like to call the pretty stuff. You don't have to start off with those things, especially if you don't know that this is something you 100% want to do, or that you're going to be able to do all the time, or is it worth it for me to sink that money into it? You can wait off on those things. You don't have to do that right off. You don't have to have the fancy hole punches and the fancy scissors and all of that to sew. With that portion being said about the scissors, I'll start from there. You definitely are going to need a good set of scissors that are specific to just cutting materials, and you don't want it for anything else. You don't want it to cut pattern pieces. You don't want to use it to cut paper. You don't want to use it to cut templates. You want one pair of scissors that are solely for cutting your materials, your faux leathers, things like that. No tape, no nothing. I got these a while back. I guess I've had them about 6 months now, but I ended up I had to get me another pair because my other pair of scissors were used for cutting, some type of sticky stuff, and it dulled my blade tremendously. And I don't know about you guys, but I've had no luck with sharpening my blades on the little Fiskars, scissor sharpener. I sucked at that. I bought one, and I either don't know what I'm doing, or I can't get the scissors in there right. It just doesn't work out for me. But I ended up buying these not too long ago, probably, like I said, about 6 months ago, and they have been great. They are super sharp. They're still sharp, but they have only been used for my materials, and they're just simple. It's probably backwards. Simple Westcott scissors, medium weight. There is a difference between the scissors that you purchase. Again, a lot more things that I learned through trial and error. In the beginning, I bought just a pair of lightweight scissors. I didn't think that made a difference, but in the grand scheme of things, it did, because the lightweight scissors wouldn't cut through thicker vinyls or thicker materials, and then they also dulled very quickly because of what I was doing with them. It wasn't meant for that. But in the beginning, you can get the inexpensive scissors and just start with it. You know, like I said, it worked for me in the very beginning, but it did not last long. But you can buy scissors from just about absolutely anywhere and use them. Just try to just use it for the fabrics, and maybe it'll last a little longer for you to decide, hey, I want to go get a pair of nice scissors. And there are fancy scissors out there. There are scissors out there that I've seen cost $50 and $60, and I'm just like, wow. But I know why. It is worth it. Although I do not have those scissors, but it is worth it, because it's going to be sharper. You're going to be able to sharpen them. I've seen where some of them come with lifetime warranties. They're going to last longer for what you need them for. They are meant for sewing, and it's meant for that craft. So you definitely need a good pair of scissors. That's right off the bat. You might want to buy 2 pair, one for your fabrics and one for cutting out your templates and things. So there's that. I'll tell you another thing that is going to be extremely useful to have is going to be a pair of snips. Now, that was Westcott. These are Fiskars. And again, I got both of these from Walmart, at my local Walmart. These are Fiskars, and I'm not really 100% sure what they're called, but I just use them for snips. If you look, it's extremely sharp versus these. So you see the difference. These I use for, obviously, like I said, my materials. These right here I use for snipping into small areas, seam allowances and things like that, when you need to get in there. And the big bulgy scissors, it's hard to get in there, especially when you're trying to get into like when you're making a zipper, there'll be zipper overlays and stuff. When you cut it out in the back, you need to be able to get into the corners without snipping your threads so that you don't ruin the zipper pocket. Ask me how I know. So these come in handy for that. I would definitely advise, even if you get the cheap ones or the expensive ones, to try to get a pair of scissors that have the tip on it. Those are extremely helpful and will help you in the long run. Now, like I said, you don't have to have all the fancy pretty stuff, but another thing that will be helpful that I could not for the life of me figure out what they were for the longest time was a pair of pinking shears. Now, I had no idea what a pair of pinking shears were. You say shears, I'm thinking yard stuff. So, I had no idea what they were for. And in the videos that I was watching, it was extremely hard to see the different types of scissors. When you look at them, these are both Westcotts. When you look at them, they both look very similar. It's just these happen to be thicker than these. I could not see that they're the difference in the blades. And that is the difference here is I call them alligator teeth, but what it is it will cut around your patterns, and it will help cut into your seam allowance. I mean, when you make something and you want to cut the seam allowance short, you can use the pinking shears, and it will help it fold out to where it's not so bulky, and it sets better. It sets flat. But like I said, you do not have to have those right off the bat. You can simply cut your seam allowance with a regular pair of scissors, and then use your little snips, like I said, to cut little triangles into the pattern pieces so that it will lay flat. But they are extremely helpful, and they've been helpful since I was able to find them. I actually did not get these pinking shears from my Walmart. I ended up having to purchase these from a craft store about an hour and a half away, Hobby Lobby, because my store just did not carry them. Some Walmarts carry different things, and mine just never had them. Another thing that you can get, and scissors, like I said, you can get very inexpensive scissors. Now, the Pinkin shears, I want to say, costed me probably about $15, was one of the reasons when I finally did find them. I kind of held off for a while on purchasing them because I didn't know if I wanted to pay $15 for a pair of scissors that I wasn't 100% sure what to do with them. But I went on ahead and I got them, and I'm extremely happy I did. But I did not have those in the beginning. Probably for the first year that I was sewing, I did not have pinking shears. I just made the snips with my snipping scissors. But another useful tool that you can buy, which you can also purchase from the Dollar Tree. Now, when you purchase it from the Dollar Tree, you won't get the, there's going to be a difference. And there is, you do, when people say you get what you pay for, you do. But in the beginning of this journey, you do not have to have all the expensive things. I got me a pair of Fiskars now, which is a pair of Fiskars rotary cutter. But in the beginning, I actually purchased a rotary cutter from the Dollar Tree. The difference is the handle was much smaller. It was not a 45 millimeter one, and it was a very small one. And it was made with a different material for the handle. It was very lightweight. It did not last me long as far as the blades being replaced. And so it was not really a heavy duty. It didn't last long as far as cutting through materials, and it would not go through heavyweight materials like my faux leather or my vinyl or my jelly vinyl. It wouldn't go through those things. So it will definitely cut through cotton. That is not an issue, but it won't last long as far as cutting through many layers of things. I actually don't even really feel like it's going to cut through many layers. You're probably 2-3 layers, and that's about what you're going to get. So if you do purchase them, just know the limitations for them. So you may have to just separate your layers and do, 2 layers and 2 layers or whatever. When I used it for the faux leather, it worked at first. As long as it was super sharp and brand new, it was great. But the longer I used it, it dulled very quick on me. So you may have to replace the blades. But at that point, maybe by then you know, hey, this rotary cutter is awesome, so let me pick up one. The main things for rotary cutters, that's the difference for the rotary cutters and scissors, which was another reason why I didn't purchase one, is I was like, well, rotary cutter's going to cut, so do scissors. But when you are cutting through vinyl, especially like the clear vinyl, it's very sticky, like TPU, jelly vinyl, things like that. It's very sticky. So when you run your scissors through it, it wants to catch. With a rotary cutter, that's not going to happen because you're not having to cut through the top and the bottom. You're only cutting over the top. So it minimizes the issues that you have. Actually, I use the rotary cutters specifically for that as well. So those are going to be a few essentials that you'll definitely need is scissors. That's a big thing. Like I said, I'm telling you this 100 times. It does not have to be expensive. You can just start off with the small things and go from there. Now, another thing that is very useful that I wish I would have known about in the beginning that is extremely inexpensive is a stapler. You're probably asking, why would I need a stapler when I'm sewing? Okay, well, the reason for that is holding down stuff. This is a very small stapler for my hand. I purchased this from Michael's about 2 years ago. I want to say I paid $5 for it, and it came with some small, it's not your regular stapler. This is a very small staple. It does not come with very big staples, but it works great for stapling down your pattern pieces, your Lord, I've lost it. Your materials, especially in places like curves. When it's not, these square pieces of material, they're not curvy, or they don't want to be curved. So you want to make them stay curved. When you start putting clips on it, sometimes when you go under the machine, it's going to pop them and fling them off. And before you know it, you have just messed up the entire curve. And you're like, oh my God, what have I done? Well, I learned that you could use the stapler outside of, like, you want to do it in the seam allowance so that it does not affect your materials. It doesn't puncture holes through them and things like that. If you're using quilt cotton, I really think that's probably okay. But like with your faux leathers and your vinyls and things, you don't want to put the staples inside the seam allowance. You want to put it on the outside of the seam allowance. So a staple comes in handy for that. You can pick those up absolutely anywhere. You may like the bigger version. I found that the bigger version stapler was extremely hard for me to be able to see what I was stapling when I would put it over the material. I couldn't see. I knew this stapler was small and the staples in it was small, so I know that I could keep it outside the seam allowance with no issues. But Another thing that you're going to need is obviously clips. Ask me why I'm saying that. When I started sewing, I didn't know I needed clips. Even out of the many videos I watched, the last thing I was paying attention to was that I needed clips to hold my materials together. Like, what? I mean, I know that it's not going to hold itself together, but I didn't buy clips. So I went back to the store and I saw the clips that people use a lot, and they're Wonder clips, but they were very expensive. Again, on a budget. I wasn't paying for them. It was like $12 to $15 for about 20 clips. I'm not paying that, especially if I don't know this is what I want to do. So I found these. And you can purchase these out of the Dollar Tree, but you can also get them from Walmart. And I actually still see people in the videos that I've watched use these still now. They don't actually use the Wonder clips. They use these paper clips that you buy right out of Walmart. And they come in big packs. And I find them to be extremely useful for many things. But they're inexpensive. And you can get little tiny ones. That makes it easier whenever you are putting stuff underneath the machine. And then there's another size, and of course they get bigger and bigger, but I really don't think you're going to want the very large ones. You want something small to put with to hold your materials together. But I started with these because I didn't want to pay for the clips, because again, like I said, I didn't want to pay for that yet. I wanted to wait and venture more into it. But then eventually I found these on Amazon, which are just off-brand versions of the Wonder clips. And you can get these. They're extremely inexpensive. You can order them off of Amazon. They're called sewing clips. Some people list them as sewing clips. They're listed as many different things, but if you put sewing clips in, you're going to find them. They'll pop up. I want to say I paid $6 maybe for like 150 of them. So that was a huge difference. I was willing to do that. And even still now, because the Wonder clips that I would purchase, they were really good, but they break as well too, depending on the amount of pressure and the amount of materials that you're putting under these clips. So whenever I purchased these, they would break, but they're through time, I was okay with it because they were very inexpensive, and they don't break so much to where like I'm wasting money, but eventually it does take wear and tear on them, especially if you use them a lot. So purchase some clips. Those are extremely helpful. Don't be like me and think your material is just going to hold itself together. But there are many different options for clips. You don't have to just do Wonder clips. You don't have to do the paper clips if you can't purchase these. I have seen people, and even I did as well, because I thought they were cute, but just clothespins, the little miniature clothespins in the crafter section. I bought these from Dollar Tree. I want to say I got 50 of them for $1.25. And as far as like holding my cotton together, super awesome. And it would even hold my faux leather, my vinyl together, as long as the layers weren't too thick. So, I mean, this is another alternative if you don't want to pay for the others yet. You can use these, and then they also will come in a little bit of a bigger size. You can try using these. And then, of course, they get larger. But I feel like at that point, you don't want something large holding your materials together, because you're going to be dragging it under your machine. There's not really a lot of room there. And then I'll tell you too, when you choose your clips, be careful. Like I said, the alligator clips, they were great. I thought I had one up here and I cannot find it. Oh, found it. The alligator clips are great, especially for holding cotton materials together, and even some waterproof canvases and stuff. The problem with these are, and trial and error, the problem with these is these have teeth on them, and they have teeth and they're sharp. So if you're not careful, you can rip your materials. You can puncture holes through them, especially when you're sewing and you go to pop it off. You really got to get in there, and they're meant to hold together, so it's stuck. So now you got to get in there and pull up the pattern, your materials, unclip it, and try to set everything back down. When you're sewing, you don't want to try to do that. You want to minimize as much moving as possible as you can with your material that you're going around the machine with. You want it to stay where it's at. So having to stop what you're doing and take the clips off, sometimes it can cause issues. So I'm going to say that these can be used, just it's probably not the most beneficial. Now, some people may absolutely love them, but like I said, they punctured holes into some of my materials, and they're a little hard to get off. They're not very easy to pull off. Now, moving right along. I hope I haven't lost y'all and y'all still here. It looks like we are almost 25 minutes in. I hope I'm helping you guys. And I you know, maybe my next video, if I make another one or whatever, it'll be better. It's a little hard for an audience that you don't really know, but then I guess you think like maybe it should be easier because you don't know them. But I want to try to share the information in a way that everybody can understand, not just one specific person, but I want to help all of y'all because like I said, when I first started, these things were overwhelming. The rulers, the scissors, all of that. And I just wish I would have been able to find just what I needed, the bare minimums at the beginning and just a couple of videos. So I'll tell you another thing I did not have for the longest time was a stiletto. Now, I didn't know what a stiletto was. To me, in my mind, when you say stiletto, I'm thinking high heels. Well, very similar, but not the same thing. A stiletto, if you don't know, is just, there's many different kinds. This one has a presser on it to kind of help you in your seams, but it's just a stiletto to help you hold down the materials at the machine. You have to be careful with these because they are pointy like needles and it will stab through your materials when you're under the machine, especially when you're stuck in tight curves and you're trying to hold them. I would say be careful. Now, they are useful. Like I said, and some people are extremely great. I've watched videos and people use stilettos like it's nothing. But I have found myself many times put holes into some of my materials. So be careful when you get them. And just know that you can puncture holes. So just, again, try to stay in the seam allowance. But a piece of advice, which is extremely inexpensive, that you can go anywhere and buy, even Dollar Tree, Dollar Store, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, whatever, is a screwdriver. Now, I would not have thought to use a screwdriver, but Lauren Mormino, that's all she uses. I seen some of her videos in the beginning. It's a flathead screwdriver, which you can purchase anywhere. This one I got from her. This is the pretty stuff, but I got this for my birthday last week. But it's a smaller screwdriver. It is not one of the big ones, and it's definitely not one of the smaller ones that are for the machine. But in the beginning, I did use, whenever I was trying not to use a stiletto so I wouldn't stab into my materials, I just used my one that came with my sewing machine, and it worked great, except for I would have liked to have had a little bit more to hold on to while I was sewing. So I finally got me this, so you can see the difference in the size. It is a little bit, but you can make do with this one. And a lot of the sewing machines you get, whether it's the Singer or not, they come with screwdrivers to take the needles out and things like that, which is what I do with this one now. So, and this one's pretty. It's got glitter all over it. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's super awesome. These come from Lauren Mormino's website. And like I said, it's some of the pretty stuff. I know some people probably think like, why do you need a rainbow screwdriver? Well, it's pretty. Why not? I'm a woman. But, so anyways, another thing that you are absolutely going to need is rulers. You have to have rulers. You have to. Unless you are just amazing and you can cut straight lines and measurements without it. But you have to have rulers. And rulers, just like anything else, can be confusing because to me, a ruler's a ruler. And you use it for measurements. I didn't use it for sewing, so I just bought a ruler from the Dollar Tree, and it worked great as far as like my my straight lines and cutting out my patterns and things like that. It worked wonderful for that. But eventually, I wanted one that was like this one, which is 1 inch wide by 12 inches long. Actually, I think it's 12.5 for this one. 12.5 inches long. I wanted it to be by 1 because I've noticed in a lot of the patterns and a lot of sewing and trial and error that 1 inch is used a lot, and it's much easier to handle. Like with your, like making a lot of straps, you'll find them to be 1 inch, which you can make 3/4 inch straps, 1 inch straps, 1.5. But I don't know. I guess it's personal preference. I like the one that is specifically, I know it's 1 inch. And it helps me. But I will tell you, eventually I went on ahead and got me just the regular old 1 inch by 6 inch ruler, because when I started out, I had this one and it worked for what I needed, but it got it was hard to get under the machine when you want to check and make sure that a pattern piece is still in the right place or that you're doing the right seam allowance or whatever. It's hard to get this under your machine. So I bought the 1" by 6" ruler from Hobby Lobby. I got it on sale with Hobby Lobby. If you have one in your area, you know that they are every other week. They're 40% off different things, 50% off different things. And this one was actually quite expensive. And I want to say it was like a $10 or $11 ruler. And I was like, I am absolutely not paying that much for a ruler. And I ended up getting it on like 40 or 50% off. So I ended up paying like $5 or $6 for it. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll pay for it. But I use it, like, I've definitely got my $5 or $6 out of it for sure. So maybe trying to find you a smaller ruler would be beneficial as far as using directly at the machine, because these 2 rulers, they stayed at my machine. Now, like I said, I've been sewing for a little while, so I got me some pretty things for my birthday over the last couple of years and Christmas. So I was able to get me pretty rulers, the glittery ones. And that's what I use now, but that is not what I used in the beginning. It took me 3 years. I actually just got these 2 rulers last week for my birthday. Again, these came from Lauren Mormino. It's a little 6" by 4" no, 2" by 4" ruler, and it comes in handy. This is actually the one I use under my machine now in place of the 1 by 6" that I had, and it's very glittery, if you can see it. Yep, so pretty. And it is well worth it. It was it was not expensive at all. Like I said, but you don't have to have this, because I know even though things may be inexpensive, it becomes expensive when you have to purchase a certain amount to get it for free shipping, or what's the shipping or whatever. So it's okay. You can buy things from Walmart and use those, and the Dollar Tree and stuff like that. But I'll tell you that you need to definitely find you a large ruler. This one is a 3 by 18" ruler, and it comes in handy when you are cutting out your materials for your patterns, because you know, trying to use this on a straight line and you're cutting out, say, 25 or 26 inches on something, you know, you're having to try to keep this one. And they get longer because, like, when you make straps, when you make the ones with, you know, that you're not using the webbing for, those can range anywhere from 54 to 60 inches. And you're doing that with this. And it works. It does. You will make it through. But it is much easier with this. So, I don't know. I can't remember how much this was. I think I got it on sale at Hobby Lobby. They don't really go on sale on their Cricut stuff a lot, but when they do, it's usually a pretty good price. I feel like they're just getting rid of it, like seasonal stuff. Just pay attention and maybe see if you can find some of these things like this. And it doesn't have to be a Cricut. I just happen to have a Cricut machine. So, you know, having the big ruler, I actually ended up having this and didn't know I had it. But, because we moved and I still had so much of my craft stuff boxed up, but I was unboxing some stuff and I was like, oh my God, I have a ruler, a big ruler. So you definitely need scissors and rulers and the stapler. You don't have to have it, but it is inexpensive, and I feel that it will help you not go through some of the trial and errors I did, where I felt like I absolutely would always be a beginner sewist because I could not sew around a curve to save my life. I can now, and I even still use the stapler, but I don't have to use it as often. I am more comfortable in sewing in the curve. So, like, if I would have known about this 3 years ago that I could use this on that, I would have gotten it. So I highly recommend you to get it. I think it'll make your life easier. Another thing that you can get that is extremely inexpensive and extremely beneficial, just like this stapler, is some double-sided tape. Now, the double-sided tape will hold together your materials that your clips want to pop off of. And it's just helpful in general to hold, like, say, for instance, if you know anything about, you know, putting your zipper in, you usually have your your bottom layer, which is your lining, and then your top portion and the zipper sandwiched in between it. And you got clips going down. I mean, you're trying to keep it all the same, you know, make sure everything is lined up exactly right. And doing those with the clips, sometimes they'll slide out and your zipper moves, and then you got a wacky looking zipper. So to prevent that, I did not know this in the beginning, but you can use double-sided tape for that. Now, the only problem with double-sided tape is that you need to make sure your machine needle can handle it, because some machines, like even with mine, like I have a heavy duty, but if I sew over double-sided tape a little too much, my machine gets angry with me and I have to stop, unthread it, and I have to clean my gummed up needle and get it off, which, like I said, I mean, you can 100% do that. Just clean it with some rubbing alcohol and a little towelette or whatever. Take the gunk off and then rethread it and start over again. So, and I'm okay with that because I've got smaller tape, which is 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape that I will use now on my zippers, because the seam allowance with a zipper is very small, so the 1/8 of an inch tape is better on my zippers. Now, I will use this when I'm sewing bigger panels together, you know, like pockets and things like that. But this is 1/4 inch tape, double-sided tape I got from the Dollar Tree. It was only $1.25. It's very inexpensive. I have a lot of it. I still use this. You don't have to have the fancy tape, the leather tape. I mean, yeah, it's great because it holds it together much better, but I don't need the tape to hold it together forever. I just want it to hold it together until I can sew it together. After that, it doesn't matter. Sometimes I'll actually pull the tape off so that it's not in the seam allowance or it can't be seen. I have 1/4 inch, and I bought this one, which is a 1/2 inch. I bought this from Hobby Lobby. It was like $1.39, and I found this in the, it was actually not over by the sewing section. I ended up eventually finding this in the, I can't even think of what you call it, scrapbooking section. I found it in the scrapbooking section, and they actually have some 1/8 of an inch. They have this 1/2 inch. They have 1/4 inch that you can buy out of the crafter section where you do the scrapbooking and the calendars and stuff like that. That is where I finally found it, because like I said in the beginning, a lot of things I couldn't find, or maybe I just really didn't know the right area to go to for some of it at Hobby Lobby. And so I started with the double-sided tape from the Dollar Tree, and actually I have a lot. I pick it up every time I get a chance, because that's the one bad thing about the Dollar Tree is they'll have stuff there that's great, but they may not always have it when you go. So if you run across something that you do like, or you think you're going to want more of, then maybe buy a couple of them so that you know you have enough. Like, say for instance, there's little small things of fabric that you can buy from there, but they're not large. So if you think that you may need more than one, maybe buy a couple, because it may not be there when you go back. The double-sided tape, I've gone in sometimes and they don't have it, and they'll be a month before I can find it again. And then so when I see it, I'll grab it. So double-sided tape is your friend, and so is the stapler. They are your friend, and they will help you. I really feel like that is probably something you should try in the beginning, because I feel like it's going to save you a lot. And like I said, if something happens and it gums up your needle, just clean it with rubbing alcohol and start over. You'll be good. Let's see. Another thing I didn't know I needed. Utensils to write with. Well, not write with, but to mark on your pattern pieces with. I was just going to use permanent pins. Well, little did I think about it that, well, that's not going to come off. And sometimes I have to write on the front of my materials, and, well, now I can't get it off, which, I mean, I didn't write on it because I was smart enough to know not to do that. But there were times where I needed to write on the front of the materials, and I didn't have the pens or pencils or whatever to do it with. And in my local Walmart, they sell, I call them the old-fashioned sewing pencils. I find those to be extremely waxy, and it wouldn't stick to some of my materials. And I also had to sharpen them a lot, so I didn't like them. I did start off with a permanent pen, and I just kept it outside of the seam allowance and did not use it on anywhere that you would be able to see. But it got, like I said, there were times where I needed to put it on the front so that I could put a D-ring connector or something like that. And I didn't know what types of material, pins to use. So I came across these, and I tried it, and it worked great for me. But I came across these. They're called Jelly Roll. I guess it's going to be backwards too. But it's called Jelly Roll. It is a white gel pen, and it has come off of everything I've put it on, as far as the faux leather, the vinyl, the jelly vinyl, and I've put it on the front portions of it to like line up straps and stuff, and it comes off. I've had no issues with it. I'll either rub a little alcohol on it, or I will take a baby wipe to it, and it comes off great. So, and these were like a 3-pack. Like I said, they're called Jelly Roll. I want to list these items for you guys, and if you need me to, let me know. I'm still learning how to do that, but maybe I could put it in the comments or something. I've seen a description box. Maybe I'll try to start there. So if you want to know what some of these are called, just let me know, and I'll try to put it in there for you guys and where I got them from. But these I got from Walmart, which I've also seen at Hobby Lobby. I've seen them in the dollar stores. I got those at Hobby Lobby. I think it was, Walmart. I want to say I paid like $4 for 3 of them. And I only use them for the vinyl and stuff like that. So it lasts me for a while. Now with my materials and on the back of my faux leathers, I will use this wonderful pen, which is a friction pen from Walmart. I think you get 3 or 4 of them for like $4 or $5. And they heat erase. That's what they do. Now, I will let you know that I've watched videos where people use heat erase ones, and they say that in some types of weather, the lines will show back up. Now, I've not ever personally had that problem, but you may want to be careful, because for me, it works. I've never had it come back. But like I said, there's been several videos I've seen lately. People are saying that in the colder climates or something, the pen mark comes back. So if you've wrote on the fabric or something, you can see it inside your purse now, and it's ruined. So I would say maybe try for a little while on some materials and make sure that it will go away like you need it to. But these actually come in different colors. I stick with the black or the blue. It comes in like red, purple, green. So you can venture out to those. But another one that I think is awesome is chalk. Chalk is your best friend as well, because it comes off very easily. This one specifically doesn't really leave a mess. It's a powder version. Sorry, I guess I should probably show y'all, but it is a powder version. And I got this off of Amazon because I saw them in the store and I never would try them. That is a wheel that helps you mark on your, you can mark on the faux leather, you can mark on your cotton materials, your waterproof canvas. You can just about write on anything with it, and it's going to come off. But I, for the longest time, I didn't purchase it because I felt that it was expensive and I wasn't going to. I ended up getting this one on sale on Amazon during Christmas. I want to say I paid $4 for it. So I gave it a shot, and I actually absolutely love it. But I've had this for several months, and it still don't look like I'm missing any chalk. But that is another useful tool to have. But like I said, you'll find your own way and your own I don't know, you'll find the way you like to do it and things that are easier for you. I guess I just really want you to know that you don't have to start off with all the expensive stuff, and you don't have to start off with the fancy stuff. You can do it on a budget and still make beautiful things, and they turn out wonderful. You don't have to have all that. And I didn't know that in the beginning, and so I was held back from trying a lot of new things because I wasn't going to purchase some of the fancy things, especially with me just beginning and learning how to sew. I mean, I saw a video not too long ago where someone purchased some the mats that you put on your table, your little table mats where you put your plates and stuff on it. They were like, and you can put wet dishes on it. But I saw somebody purchase some of those that had like designs on it, and they made purses out of that. It didn't even look like that. It was dish mats. That's what it was. I saw somebody make a purse out of that. It was like a little clutch, and I didn't know that she used that. So, I mean, I thought that was pretty awesome and very inexpensive. She got that from the Dollar Tree. But, so I hope I didn't lose you. I see we're 43 minutes into the video, and I don't want to keep you guys too long. And if this was at all helpful, please let me know. Like I said, if you do like it and it worked out great, I was able to help you and guide you a little bit, I'll make some more videos and I'll share some more tips, and maybe I'll get better at it. Maybe I can do it in a shorter time, or maybe I can share more information or whatever. Just let me know. I don't think there's anything else without overwhelming you guys that I can share at the moment. I'm trying to look and see because I have all my stuff in front of me. But I'm going to say no. So your biggest essentials that we talked about are going to be clips. You definitely need clips, and you have many options for that. You don't have to have the expensive ones from Walmart or Hobby Lobby, but you need some sewing clips. You need good scissors, and you need some marking utensils that you can mark, and you're going to need a couple of different types so that you can mark on the different types of materials you have. So that's going to be, you know, preference to the types of materials you're using. And let's see, the stapler and the double-sided tape. So I think that's 5 or 6 things that you really, I would start there with those as far as the types of tools that you can use for sewing. I hope this helped you guys. And like I said, I want to share some more with y'all. If you want me to, just let me know. I hope this was helpful to y'all. I hope y'all have a wonderful night. And like I said, if you like it and it worked for you, like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. I hope y'all have a great night. Thank y'all.